Hey, so a while back, I kind of got back into a series that I abandoned like 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, because at the time I thought it was boring. But now in my 30s, I'm into period pieces more often, and now I'm on the sequel of said series. I'm super excited for the next one in the series too, and it's finished as far as I can tell. The Lady Trent series by Marie Brennan, these ones, I'm pretty sure they're finished. I think there's like a recent one, I don't know the year it came out, by Lady Trent's like granddaughter, so I'm kind of curious to see how that plays out. But we're not there yet. So all that being said, the Tropic of Serpents, book two in this series, it's fine. It's mostly just fine. And I don't know if this video will be like riveting content because I don't have like a big rant coming up, but at the same time, I do think it's okay that some books are just fine. Not everything is a dumpster fire in the garbage. And not everything is like perfectly gold. Sometimes things are able to just be fine, and I already got a cat walking around. Okay. Also, we're getting into like slight spoilers here. Nothing like hugely detailed about the plots and character developments and all of that stuff, but there is one element I do want to mention and discuss later on. I'll make that more obvious too. But at the moment, The Tropic of Serpents by Marie Brennan is the second installment in the Lady Trent series, basically documenting Isabella Camhurst's. Her name isn't Trent yet, but her last name is Camhurst. I am curious of when this Trent fella shows up. Anyway, it documents the story of Isabella Camhurst going through this African swamp safari to study dragons. And first off, there are definitely parallels between, this story and like England integrating itself into African culture in like the 1800s. There's even your like average white guy there who's there to just hunt the dragons. But Isabella and her crew, importantly, actually do try to integrate themselves a little bit better into the cultures and try to actually learn from them and live with them. There is also a point where she does kind of like call herself out of like, yeah, I'm not perfect. Some of that I do kind of still see as like superstition, but she's here to learn. She's here to work with them. And there is a hilarious moment where the whole tribe, they all have a little sit down, sojourn palaver kind of thing. They all sit down to kind of like air their grievances, and they do admit that she's kind of not a child, but borderline a child. Like they are teaching her every single thing that they just instinctively know, and they need to be very patient with her. And she's sitting back going, "Oh, I thought I was doing a little better than that. I guess not. I'm sorry." Like they call her out. And also, along with the dragon studying, she's there kind of accidentally gets tangled into some political plots. She doesn't intend to, but she's also very much aware that like scientific discoveries do kind of also come with like political elements. That's a whole discussion. So she's aware that those are like woven in together, and she does kind of get roped into some things, mainly involving a promise that she made to the king there. Now we're going to get into the spoilery bits now. Nothing hugely plot point like relevant, but there are a couple of elements, one vague, one not so vague, that I want to get into. But at one point, and I do think this was like a detriment to the book, is that the side characters kind of just fell out of it at the end. There's a really cool like hang glider moment, that's what I'll say. There's a really cool like hang glider moment that takes us into like the third arc. And at that point, Isabella really does get roped in more to like the political stuff and the like potential wars kind of seeding around. And she needs to rely on her own wit and her own knowledge of the jungle that she's been living in now for like months. And it's just a show of her, actually integrating herself into this jungle and like climbing up trees and doing great. The thing is, the side characters just aren't there anymore. And I get why. They're also kind of like lost off in the jungle because she was separated from them. And they show up back at the end, back in like the main city, but it's kind of like a quick passing comment. And I don't even think one of them. No, actually, no. Tom does get some dialogue back when they're home, but back in like the main city and in the jungle, they don't even really have dialogue at that point. But the main thing is that the side characters that we spent so much time with, that Isabella spent months with, including some of the members of this tribe within this jungle and doing her own research, or doing all of their research. One of them even helped like build the hang glider. She designed like the whole thing. They're not there at the end of it. And like they're reunited, but it is kind of like just a passing comment. Also, the bigger thing I wanted to mention is about dragon bone. They want to learn, Isabella and her crew want to learn how to like preserve dragon bone because it's a really great resource. And she hires this scientist guy to help figure it out, to figure out the like chemical side of everything. But they already know how to do this. I will fully admit, maybe I missed something when I was reading it, but while they were in the jungle, the whole reason they were also there in like the savannah bit before the hunter guy I mentioned, he does take down a dragon. They kind of like take the corpse to study it and go, oh no, we couldn't, help preserve everything. Sorry about that. But they did preserve dragon bone. They kept the bones. I think by using an older method that was like discovered in the first book, because that was a big plot point in like the first book. So I think they're trying to like replicate it, or I think more importantly, find a different way to either preserve the dragon bone or even find a different method to make something else entirely that's just as strong as dragon bone. Because Isabella's whole thing too is like she hates this hunter guy. She knows that if they do find a way to like preserve dragon bone perfectly, it's going to be a great resource, and dragons are going to get hunted, probably to extinction, because humans just do that. So I think I missed a plot point that specified that they want to come up with an alternative. Because at the very end as well, when they're all home, when they're all back home, Isabella and her friends Tom now are having a conversation with the scientist guy, and he's sorry that he couldn't like figure out how to preserve dragon bone, so maybe they didn't tell him how to do it, but they know how to do it. But they're trying to find out an alternate means. Because he also provides this like other material that he's made that's like almost like dragon bone, but it's like too heavy, it's not good enough. So that's why I think they're trying to come up with something alternate. That's probably it, right? That's gotta be it. With Isabella's whole thing of like keeping the dragons safe, she doesn't want to preserve their bones. She wants to find an alternative to keep them alive. So yeah, that plot point kind of like snagged at me for a second. But again, like I said, I might have missed something. I don't think I did. I might have. But the side characters kind of dropping out at the end, it did kind of feel rushed. The ending felt a little bit rushed. Oh, also, surprise ace rep here, because one of the side characters, Natalie, is just asexual. At one point during that whole like sojourn thing, that she just kind of admits that like we're kind of like all airing our grievances, right? Kind of like taking pressure off of us. Well, she's been experimenting with some of her own like identity and sexuality even, and she found out that like she's not interested. That she's just ace. There was like a quick passing comment at the very beginning when we met her of she's not really interested in men. She's not interested in getting married at all. And then later on, she kind of also figures out that like, yeah, I'm just not really interested in anyone. I don't want to do any of that. It's weird for the 1800s, but like that's just a surprise little ace representation, and I will take it. I love small inclusions like that. But yeah, the Tropic of Serpents was fine. I might have stumbled a bit around the ending, but it was alright. I am excited for the next one, because then we're gonna go like seafaring. Give me giant like dragon sea monsters, it'll be great. Anyway, feel free to like and subscribe, and next week we're gonna be making those little like corner bookmark things out of fabric that I've like seen, around. They're really cute. I wanna learn how to make those. Do I know how to sew? No, but we will figure that out.